Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WodCAST podcast. I am your host, Eddie Ift, and every week we bring you this amazing show about strength conditioning, health, fitness, nutrition, etc., trying to make you a better person, trying to entertain you, while at the same time letting you know about fitness and talking about fitness, because a lot of people like to exercise. We like to talk about it. That's what we do here. And today's guest, I am so excited about. I've always wanted to have him on the show. He's an OG of CrossFit. He is a strongman. He is a former games competitor. He is the owner of Hybrid Athletics. Put your hands together for Rob Orlando being on the show today. Yes, start clapping. Go, this is going to be a great day. It is going to be a great day because you know what else? I got a big announcement. Today, you can go online and download my 1-hour comedy special, Sweet Home Malabama. Yes, it's available on iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, Napster. It's Apple. You can go get it anywhere. Watch it on YouTube, I prefer. And then I've been working on this thing for a long time. We produced it. We got it out there. 800-Pound Gorilla is the record company that did this, and I appreciate that. The music on it is by Serge Tonkian from System of a Down. I couldn't be more excited about this. It's basically comedy into the inside of my life living up here in the woods. And I worked really hard on it. We recorded it before the pandemic. Took a long time to have it edited, put out, and it is now out for you to see. Watch it. Let me know. You can see where to get it. Link in my bio. It's called Sweet Home Malabama. And it's Eddie Ift. So go listen to it and then send me in a message. Send me a DM on @Eddie Ift at Instagram. Tell me what you thought of it, okay? I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everything you do. The way that comedy works now is that there's not really big machines behind anything. It's all viral. So if you guys like it and listen to it, please share it with your friends. Every friend you have, say, hey, I found this. It's really funny. I think it's right up your alley. And share it. The best thing you can do is share it. It'll really help me. And you guys have been helpful with donating to the Patreon. It helps the show. Doesn't keep the show totally going, but it helps a little bit. Every little bit counts. You can give anything you want. You can give $5. You can give $10. You can give $1 million. But the minimum of $5 gets you not only a Maya Pucks and a Leopard Claw drawing, where you could win a Maya Pucks, you could win a Leopard Claw, but you get a 5th episode. We do a 5th episode that only the Patreon listeners can hear. Okay? And I put that on the Patreon site. It's very simple. It's just you click it. It's right there. And that is only if you have donated $5 a month. So get those. I do some like a little bit different, the stuff that wouldn't really be WodCAST type stuff. Shane Moss was my last one. The week before that, or month before that, I did 30, 40, 50. I'm going to do, I got an interesting one coming up. So please check that out. Go to patreon.com/WodCAST or wodcastpodcast.com/Patreon and do that $5 minimum. And you can win like Chris Murch. Chris Murch, congratulations. You are the winner. Troy from Maya Pucks and Leopard Claw will be getting a hold of you. That's an electronic muscle stimulator and a multi-tool. It's worth about $450. You donated $5. But keep donating. Stay on. Don't like get your gifts and then be like, hey, see you, dude. Stay in. And I am touring. If you want to see me, I'll be in Las Vegas the 14th to the 18th of April at Brad Garrett's Comedy Club in the MGM Grand. So I think they're at half capacity, so you better get your tickets because it will be sold out. We're living in this weird world, and I know a lot of people are vaccinated. Wear your masks, do whatever, but I want to hear you laugh. And I want to talk about our sponsor this episode because I've been drinking this stuff like crazy. I used to never drink a pre-workout. It was the worst thing I could do was avoid that. I didn't want to waste protein and drink protein. And I was like, how am I going to get the energy? Because it always happens that I haven't eaten something. Then I want to work out. And I'm like, but I can't eat because I got to work out. Well, I found my answer. And it's called Cellucor. All right. It's basically C4 Energy and Smart Energy are the drinks that I'm drinking. They come in a whole bunch of different flavors. They've got a carbonated and non-carbonated one. But here's the deal. Here's why these drinks are so amazing. They're the only energy drinks that are infused with clinically studied performance benefits. They've got a thing called carnosine beta-alanine. You might have heard Matt Fraser and Joe Rogan talking about beta-alanine. A lot of people I know use it. It's not a performance-enhancing drug, but you would think it is because it improves your performance. It is, I believe it's derived from beets, and it is just unbelievable. Fraser said beta-alanine gives them a second or a third lung. And there's also caffeine in these drinks. The 16-ounce comes with 200 milligrams of caffeine. The 12-ounce comes with 150. I think that's like a cup of coffee or more. There's all kinds of other stuff in there. The carnosine beta-alanine is designed to delay the onset of fatigue. So, that's what we all need in CrossFit. There's Citrulline Malate. Now, I just heard about this too. This supports an increase in nitric oxide levels. Then there's beta-power betanine. That's the one that's naturally derived from beets. I'm sorry, not the beta-alanine. The beta-power betanine. Be good if I could pronounce these things. But, it's incredible stuff. Like I said, naturally flavored, comes in a can, so you're not doing any damage to the environment. These guys, they care. So no sugar, zero calories. It's just perfect. You can drink one right before you work out. You can have some like later in the day too. It's going to give you the energy you need, and it's going to load your body with all that carnosine beta-alanine, which is like clinically studied to support muscular endurance and muscle capacity. All right. So get yours. You want to get 20% off? Do you? Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you how. Go to the letter C, 4, the number 4, C4energy.com. C4energy.com. They're going to give you 20% off if you put in the code WodCAST. Okay? 20% off is going to get you a whole bunch of C4 Energy. All right? So check it out, enjoy it, and work out a lot better thanks to C4 Energy. C4energy.com, WodCAST. Okay, now we got to get to the show. This is going to be an unbelievable show. Before I do, I want to talk to you about my training. A lot of people ask me what I do. I get messages going, hey, where do you work out? How do you do this? How do you do that? Because I'm just I'm so jacked. No, what has happened is I have tried a lot of programming, and I think most of the guys out there that are experienced coaches and stuff and that are big CrossFitters in the day have amazing programming. A lot of these guys cater it to game-style athletes, and that's fine. And I like their workouts, and I do some of them. But I've pretty much switched to house training. That's HAOS, which stands for Hunter's Academy of Strength. Hunter McIntyre does his own programming. And you're like, Hunter? Yeah, Hunter's a freak. We all know he's a freak. He is an 8-time world champion. He's a world record holder. He is not just a genetic freak. The guy works his butt off. And not only does he work his butt off, he is so knowledgeable. He's met with every coach. He's read everything there is to read. So if you want to be a stud like Hunter, or you want to look good, this is the way to go. He's got a whole bunch of different programs going on, okay? He's got one for, games athletes, OCR type person, it's like what Hunter does. It's the pro one. So it's the House Pro. He's got ABC Athlete, which is dumbbells only. It's a high intensity training. It's 30 minutes or less a day. That's for someone more like me or someone that's on the road, in a hotel room, whatever it is, or in a little gym at the hotel. That's what you're going to do. Then he's got House OCR. If you're an OCR racer, this is the one you want to do. This is the one that got him to win world championships. So obviously he knows what he's doing. And then there's also Look Good Naked, which is what I do sometimes. And I think that's why Look Good Naked's great. It's kind of like a bodybuilding / it's more like a bodybuilding workout. And it's going to put some muscle on you, make you look good. Here's the deal. Hunter is giving you a deal. If you guys sign up for his programming through here, He's going to give you 50% off. That's 50% off. If you want to do one program, it's like $20 or $20 for another. If you want to do them all and jump around like I do, it's $40. But he's going to give you 10 or 50% off. So it's $20 a month. That's nothing. It's not even $1 a day. And that guy sits and does his research, writes down his programming for you, gives the programming. You can talk with him, consult with him, all that shit. It's great. So go to huntermcintyre.com and look up, or you can Google HAOS training. That's Hunter's Academy of Strength training. Check that out. Like I said, put in WodCAST at the code, and you're going to get 50% off. Does that sound awesome? It should.
I literally sat down. It's been silent in my buddy's office here for the last 2 hours. I sat down, turned on my computer, and these jackasses started up.
It happens to me every single time. Like I've got 3 dogs and 2 kids, and I don't know which is worse. The dogs, I have a puppy. It'll probably start like crying or barking or something at some juncture in the show. And luckily my kids are out of town right now, or they would somehow appear. I used to have a studio, and my wife sold it. So
thanks.
Now I do the show from the kitchen table or the back deck or wherever I am. And I'm probably going to build a studio. I have to eventually.
Yeah.
I just don't want to get around to it. I'm hoping podcasting goes away. I'm hoping this is just a fad.
Yeah, it just comes and goes.
As much as we've done well with it, I really, if they said, like, when the pandemic happened and they were like, yeah, the virus hates podcasts, I would have been like, thank you.
Yeah. Let me shed a tear quietly.
I have a joke in my act that I've talked about that I say, at some point, no one's going to be listening to podcasts because everybody is going to be busy making one.
Yeah. 100% agree. That's one of the reasons that I haven't gotten involved. We can save this stuff for the air too, if you want.
Oh, we're on the air. We're on the air.
We're
yeah,
on.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, I've talked about, and I actually purchased the equipment to do a podcast about a year and a half ago. And, for all the reasons you just said, I'm like, I can't get around to doing this. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got a voice. And I think a huge problem in today's world, in today's society, is that everybody thinks that their stupid opinion matters. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, maybe I've got a bunch to say, but it's just white noise amongst a lot of other white noise.
See, when I was younger and I became a comedian, and I've been doing it for over 25 years now, I did think I had a voice and it needed to be heard. And as the longer I do it, the more I realize mine doesn't matter at all. And nobody should hear it. Like I do it out of like, this is how I've made a living. But I think there's like this self-awareness that I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, who the fuck do I think I am that anybody should want to hear me? I mean, I walk around my house and talk and everyone ignores me. Like the people closest to me ignore me. Why would anyone in the public sphere, when people listen to me, I'm like, why are you listening to me? Like, I don't want to listen to me. So
no, totally agree with you 100%. I catch myself at seminars that I've done and I'm like, I can't believe there are people that have paid to sit here and listen to me talk about flipping tires. This is absolutely ridiculous. But at the same time, it's a lot of fun. And, I've gotten to see some places and meet a ton of people that are, pretty interesting along the way.
Now you're being self-effacing, but the truth is when somebody wants knowledge, like I know when I do, I will hang on every word that someone says. So like if I went to see you do a seminar in flipping tires, that's something I'm interested in. I'm going to listen to you because you have knowledge that I don't have. I, on the other hand, have nothing. like I have no knowledge. I have a shitty liberal arts degree that I cheated to get. I mean, like sometimes I'll be spouting off my opinion and I'll just be like about politics or something. And I'm like, I need to shut the fuck up. Like, I'm getting closer and closer to just like finding a cabin way deep in the woods and just like fishing in a stream and not talking to anybody.
Yeah, live on a homestead and talk to the flowers.
Yeah, because I just can't believe how much the internet's been the best and worst thing in the world.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. It's been, obviously it's allowed me to do a bunch of things that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do. But at the same time, I feel like social media has just created like this artificial world of, likes and thumbs up, thumbs down. And, it's that instant gratification. And I got off social media. I stopped going on Facebook a while back. It's probably 5-6 years ago now. Haven't ever used Twitter and Instagram. People ask me at seminars, like, do you follow on, who do you follow on Instagram? And I'm like, I'm not interested in what anybody has to say except for the content that I'm putting out. I was like, once I post something, I'll never think about it again. And I'm not going to check on anybody's response because it's the content that I'm just putting out there for the universe to have. But I think the social media thing has really been, it's the devil.
Well, you're more of a man than I am because I post something and then I try not to look. But I like it's like having an addiction to something. I'll go, I'm not going to look at that. And then I look, and it's funny. I kind of went off the radar comedy wise for a while just because I wanted to deal with my family and raise my kids. And I was in the comedy circles, like really in deep. And when you're in there, it's constant bickering and fighting and who said this and who did this. And this guy loves you, this guy hates you. And I went, I got to get out of this. So I got out of it, and then I have a new album coming out. Actually, when this airs today, it'll be out today, and so I had to get back in and start promoting and start doing everyone else's podcasts and everything. And I did it, and all of a sudden I started seeing, hey, where you been? We missed you. You're great. You're amazing. And I was like, oh, awesome. And then all of a sudden, I thought this guy died. Why is he still alive? He's the most unfunny fucker alive. And it just, I was like, oh, here it comes. And it was like, half of it was like, oh, we love you. And the other half is like, we want you to die. And I thought, the bigger you are and the more famous and successful you are, the more you get that. You're going to get like, I guess like, more people loving you and more people hating you. If you think about it, like someone like Donald Trump is the most hated person in the world. But at the same time, you could argue that he's the most loved man in the world.
Yeah.
And that's creepy. That's really creepy because I wouldn't want that much love to have that much hate. And as you get more successful, that's what you get.
Yeah, you end up, as your popularity grows, especially if you're saying some things that might be popular with some. If it's popular with some, it's probably going to be unpopular with others, and so you end up with that polarizing effect where some people will love you and the rest want you to die. And it's and the problem now with social media is that everybody can tell you they want you to die.
Yeah,
before it's like they wouldn't know. Or at least they wouldn't have access to you. Now they can go right to you and tell you that they had hoped you died in a car crash.
Yeah. And when I say love, because we all know this is not real love or real, it's like, it's so fake and superficial and ephemeral, but it's also like, I'll never understand who these people are that like, I don't think I've ever gotten on something. Maybe I have and said something like, but I've never been like, you're a piece of shit, like blah, blah, blah. I mean, it would have to be, like a serial killer's page for me to like get on there and show my opinion.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing where people feel entitled to go ahead and air that stuff out there, and they do it in the public forum for everybody to see. It doesn't, like, I would never do that. It does. I can think that about you, but what good does it do me to put it out there for everyone else to see it? I can just, I can just change the station. I can look away. I don't have to watch what you're doing. I can find something else to occupy my time.
I can't wait to see, like, as this evolves, like generations or stuff of people that, you know, there's life philosophies, and there's like, you know, Montessori schools or whatever they may be. But I know, like, probably in the near future, there's going to be schools that are going to be like, we teach our students to stay off of social media completely, or we do this, or we do that, or we limit this, or I come from a culture or religion or something where we don't use that at all. And it's going to be interesting to see, and when they're going to be able to do studies and go, oh, well, the Amish people have a very low suicide rate, and low rates of depression, and all this stuff that they're hypothesizing about. But when the clinical evidence comes out, that they just go, this was the worst invention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the movie The Social Dilemma.
Yeah.
I mean, that just, you know, a bunch of people told me that you should check that out. You should watch it. And, you know, you watch it. It kind of, I think if that doesn't really affect you, like if you don't get that, you know, you're really not paying attention. Because to me, like, that was, you know, these are the architects of the whole thing saying that we didn't realize what we were doing. And then once we did, we tried to change it, but it was already in motion, and we can't, it's like a train that you can't stop. And man, that was pretty powerful.
Are you familiar with Kenny Kane at all?
No.
Kenny is a CrossFit coach out here in LA, owns a place called Oak Park Fitness. Great guy. He's been around forever. And Kenny at one point said, I'm taking my whole gym offline. Like, we're not going to use any social media whatsoever. And people are like, why are you going to do that? You know, that's not bad. That's not good for business, blah, blah, blah. He goes, I'm in the business of health. My job is to make people healthy, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is. And like, we know cigarettes and alcohol are bad for you, and, you know, sugar. We know that social media is not good for you mentally. So I can't be an administrator of health and be perpetuating this. Yeah. And I thought it was great. I also thought it was one of those, like, shoot yourself in the foot kind of things. Like, how are you going to grow your business? How are you? Because I say it all the time. I'm like, I'm getting off that shit. I'm just going to post. And it's like, I'm such a hypocrite. Like, I'm not going to use it. It's like, I'm not going to use drugs, but I'm going to sell them, you know, like,
I'm going to be the best dealer ever, but I'm not going to ever try it.
Yeah. And there's this part of me that's like, I would love to just go totally off the grid and still see if I could be successful somehow, and still sell tickets and do whatever I do. But
that's one of the things that, so I took an approach, a couple of years ago now, that, the only place that I post daily is on Instagram, and I just post on a private Instagram page that's only for paying members. So and it's just, you know, we have a handful of followers worldwide, and then we've got the people in our gym. So I just post up the daily workout images that come in and that we take from the gym. So it's a very small collection of people. We don't post out for the masses to see. And then I've got a couple other Instagram accounts, like Hybrid Athletics, which is where I post some of my products. And then I've got CrossFit Robo, which I don't post to almost ever. So I've gotten to a point where the only thing I put up is, it's basically like CrossFit used to do back in the day, where they would post up the workout of the day on the main page. So my members see our Instagram account, and that's where they check the daily workout of the day. But I'm completely removed from, like, posting and getting feedback on that stuff. I don't even pay attention to it anymore. And I got to tell you, it's liberating, because I don't feel the need to push that stuff out there. That, like, the product stuff that I do on Hybrid Athletics, that's one thing. That's to grow a piece of a business that's, you know, I'm moving products out. But for the actual interactions that I have with people, that's all on a private page. It's a closed loop.
But this is weird coming from a guy who, you pretty much, like, your profile was built on social media. Like, you came from you're the OG days of CrossFit, where all of a sudden here's this guy that everybody's watching, and they're like, who's this guy? You know, and you became one of the celebrities of CrossFit in the infancy. And and it's like, you know, how it's like, how are you gonna, it's not bite the hand that feeds you, but you know, this is what birthed you, and all of a sudden we're like turning our backs on it. Because mine the same. I mean, mine was more TV. I was doing, you know, when I started, I would always shoot for TV, and the internet didn't exist. But like CrossFit, just, I mean, it's a product of the internet. It exploded because of it.
You know, I think I wanted to be clear. Like, I am so grateful that CrossFit and Tony Budding and that media department, like, they started posting videos of me, and they gave me an outlet where the things that I was doing them anyway. I was just doing them in my gym, and I was filming them, and I was posting to YouTube. CrossFit recognized it, and they started giving me an outlet where they would put that content up. You know, and then I was able to compete and to grow a brand, and all that stuff happened. And I'm grateful for all of it. I didn't turn my back on any of that. I turned my back on like the interaction with social media, like Facebook. For me, it got really weird for a while, where I was in the very early days, like in 2009 and 10, you know, we had a good little apparel business going. And we were moving a ton of shirts, and CrossFit would air a video where I was wearing a hybrid shirt that said something silly on it. And then it was like the next day we would just print those shirts. Like, I couldn't print them fast enough. And I would put up a post on Facebook, and I'd just print shirts all day long. Well, as the algorithms start to get smart, and what we see, I'm sure you've seen this tons, right? And as the algorithms caught on, they limited my access to the people who elected to follow my page. Yeah. So these are people weird. That they searched me out, they found my content, they were following me, and then I'm posting, and Facebook was throttling the information that was getting to them. So then I would have to pay Facebook to advertise to the people who elected to follow me in the first place. And I was like, that's not how it works. I'm the content provider. I'm the one who's putting the content on your platform, because without the content providers, the platform is worthless. And I just got fed up with that. And I said, well, I'm not going to pay to access the people who've voluntarily chosen to follow me. And that it was a weird thing. So I stopped using Facebook, and then Instagram started to do similar things. And I was like, I just don't need it anymore. I don't. Yeah,
it's really, you know, weird. I bought some ads back in the day, and once I started buying, I found out that you're on the hook then. It's like a dealer, you know, like they give you your free one, and then all of a sudden my numbers started going down about who was seeing, and they were like, we got a buyer. We got somebody here that'll buy. Well, don't give him anymore until he buy, you know, like, we're going to raise the price on because he needs us. And it just got, and then I started meeting people who were into it. And I met this Russian guy one time. I had this meeting with this Russian guy at a Whole Foods in Atlanta. I probably shouldn't talk about him because I think he listens to the show. But he was like this Facebook expert. And, he's just like, you need to do this and you need to do that, and you'll blow up and you'll explode and da-da-da. And I was like, I don't want to. He was like, what do you mean? And I was like, if this is what it entails, then I don't want to be part of it. I said, I didn't get into stand-up comedy to be in marketing. I got into stand-up comedy to be a stand-up comic, to write jokes, to perform jokes. And I said, if I wanted to do that, I would have gone to school to get into marketing and learn social media and do that. I said, that's not what I want to do. And my album that's coming out today, the record company is doing all of that. They were like, what are your passwords? I was like, here you go, guys. Finally, someone doing their job, and I'll go do my job. And I just want no part of that.
That's exactly what happened to me. So in August of last year, you know, we launched a new product, and Rory McKernan, CrossFit guy, personality, great friend of mine, and somebody that, I've been in the trenches with in this thing for a long time. So Rory put up a post talking about our new product, and it just started selling like crazy. And then I started playing around with putting a couple dollars into Facebook ads and into Instagram ads through my gym account or through the Hybrid Athletics account, just to see like, can I make a run at this? Can I at least put the dollars in, and what kind of yield does it turn out? Does it grow the product? And I very quickly realized within a month or so that I had absolutely no interest in doing it. And I same thing as you, I ended up hiring a marketing specialist. I gave him every password I have. And I said, here, look, I put him on a 3-month, it was a 3-month tryout. I said, this is your audition. If you can push this thing, you have access to my credit card and you have access to all of my accounts. Let it rip. And I literally don't worry about it. I don't touch it. And I'm just looking to see, is his audition going well or not? Is he, and so far it's great because I don't, there's no pressure on me. Yeah. I don't have to do anything. All I did was build the product.
What's the product?
So it goes back, more than 2 years now, probably 2.5 years. It was at the end of one of our classes. And at the time we had, we had 11 men's bars and 11 women's bars, and they were all hanging on the wall, and they're all covered in chalk, like post-workout, they're all covered in chalk. So I went over with, the typical gym straight brush, and you got like a flat brush, and I'm cleaning one bar at a time. And you got a round bar and you got a flat brush, and you're doing like, 5 degrees of the brush. You got to rotate it.
Right.
It's taken me like a minute and a half to do every single bar. And I'm doing the math on that. And I'm like, okay, if I clean every one of these bars, I'm looking at 20 something minutes. If I've got 6 classes a day, it's the time spent on cleaning is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm not an engineer at all. But I like to reverse engineer the process. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So I started trying to play around with different ideas of how do I get a brush to wrap around the bar so that I could do the whole bar in one shot. And it took me the better part of 6 months to get any brush manufacturer to pay attention to me. And then it took another 6 months of, once I got the attention of somebody, to get a prototype. And then another 6 months to do some tooling, and then another 6 months to get, it was R&D and process and blah, blah, blah. So it took almost 2 full years from concept until I got my first delivery of these brushes that wrap around the entire bar. So when you're done with your workout, you grab the bar with the brush and give it a couple passes, cleans the bar within seconds. And then it just so happens that, our gym was closed down because of COVID. I wasn't sure when we were going to be open again. And I still hadn't placed my first order for brushes. And, I maybe a conservative person would have sat back and said, I don't know if this is the right time to do it, but I doubled down. And I put a huge chunk of money into my first order of brushes, and they showed up, and, I sent a couple to Rory just so he could play with it. Rory posted it up, and it's been like off to the races since then.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's it's been a home run of a product. It's super simple. It's a simple solution to a really common problem in the gym world.
Yeah. There's so many things like that. So many necessary things for gyms, and especially when you're trying to be efficient and get the way you said it. It's not just one of those, there's so many things I see people make that I'm just like, really? And then there are so many things that make sense. Like, hey, we've got class. We got another class coming in 10 minutes or whatever. We got to have this place clean. That's completely understandable. There's so many things, though, that I go. Like, my favorite is the thing that people put under a bar to deadlift. Or to get all the stacks of weight out. Like, I'm always like, just put a plate under it. Roll it like that huge metal contraption so that you can lever 135 off the floor. Stop it. It's the most, the only time I'll use that thing is when I've got 5 plates on either end, and I'm like, I don't want to pick it up. But still, roll a 5-pound plate underneath one of them, and you got all the room you need, pal. All it takes is a 5-pound plate. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing how much I have a home gym here in my garage because with the kids, I got tired of driving. Like it just added an hour into going to the gym, which I need.
Yeah.
But my wife won't give me. But and it's so much of my gym I've like built my own shit just because I'm like, I can't give money.
Yeah. No, that was the genesis of it. Like I started making Atlas stone molds way back in the day, and all that started because
I remember that.
Yeah, so I mean, I was using the Slater stone molds back then, and I grew up doing strongman, and I was making stones all the time, and I just thought there's got to be a better way. This is too complicated, so I ended up. I made Atlas stone molds, and it's been one of those things that we've been selling now for 10 years. But it started out with like, I just want to make my own stuff, and I want to make it, and I want it to be, dummy proof.
Yeah. I love the old CrossFit gyms that you'd go into, and the rig they built themselves with like piping. And
Yep.
I loved that because I felt like when I first went to CrossFit, I felt like I walked into Rocky IV's Russian gym.
Yeah.
When he went and trained up in the mountains and I was like, this is it. This is what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in a gym, like a Globo gym with a whole bunch of like people using Nautilus machines. I want to be like hanging from ropes and doing like weird shit that no one's doing, like getting like man strong, not like, and then the next thing you know, Rogue had something for everything. And it's unbelievable how everybody in CrossFit started manufacturing shit. Like, everybody had an invention.
Well, everybody wants to tap into that train. They're like, okay, this is a huge market of people. They love to buy things. How do I get on the train? And I think some of that is transparent, and you can see the ones that don't make it. But if you put out a good product that has, that serves a good purpose in this community, I think you're rewarded most of the time.
Yeah. You said you grew up doing strongman. Like, when did you start? How old?
I was a little bit older. So my working out history started when I was 13, 12. I mean, I got a pull-up bar for my birthday when I was like 11 or 12 years old. So, I mean, it just goes all the way back to the early days. And then we had, the plastic Joe Weider weight set that had sand inside the plates, with the bench press it was this narrow so that you could barely fit your head in between it. So that goes way, way back. But when I got to high school is when I started working out every day. And it's been like, since I stepped into high school, it's been an everyday thing.
Were you a football player or something, or did you?
Yeah, I grew up playing football. I wasn't the best football player, but I didn't mind the contact, and like I liked the physical part of it. So I played linebacker and tailback, also the deep snapper, and I was the wide man on the kickoff team, and so like I didn't mind the physical part of football. Not the best player, definitely not the best team. We were horrific, but it was fun. But I knew full well that at the end of my senior year, I graduated high school at about 148 pounds.
Where'd you grow up?
In Monroe, Connecticut.
Okay.
So, dinky little high school. I think it's about 1,000 kids total. But I got out of college or high school, went to college at about 150 pounds, and 4 years later graduated college at 190 pounds.
Wow.
I worked out every day. I was just like, I was a gym rat, typical gym rat. So tons of drop sets and pyramids, and I would try like every different way to get stronger and bigger that you could possibly think of. And then a year after college, because I was living on my own for the first time, I ballooned up to about 230 pounds. And that's the time that I was probably the strongest in my life. I was working out I was living in, this is great.
How tall are you? How tall are you?
5'8".
And you were 230? Oh my God.
5'8", 230. Yeah. So this is great. I think it was my brother that was, it was either his wedding or a buddy of mine's wedding. And I was in the wedding party, and I went to get measured for my tux, and I was a size 50 jacket, a 50. with a 36-inch waist. I was
What
such
was
a
your neck?
oh, it was like 20. It was absolutely absurd. I looked like a tick about to pop. But so I was working out when I was that big. I was working out in this little dump of a gym in Clinton, Massachusetts, which is it's a hole in the wall. So I apologize if there's any listeners there, but it was a hole in the wall back then. And this gym cost $7 a month to be a member. And yeah, I swear it was a front for another business, because you'd walk in. It was like a little strip mall. You'd walk in, and there was like a guy chain smoking cigarettes behind a small desk. He never looked up. He didn't care if you were a real member or not. Didn't matter. You went down a flight of stairs and into a basement, and there was like a half an inch of water over the entire floor. There was 3 light bulbs hanging from strings, and one of them worked and the other ones didn't. The lightest dumbbell in the whole place started at 100 pounds. Everything in there was rusted and metal. And I worked out there for over a year, and I've never been stronger in my life. And you'd walk out of there after an hour and a half workout, and you look like a coal miner. You're just completely covered. You're black. Your face is black. Your hands are black. But I absolutely loved it. So then I fell into strongman. I did my first competition. I want to say it was 2004 or 5. And it just kind of found it by accident. I was watching videos on YouTube, and I saw this guy doing a clean and jerk with a thick bar. And at the end of the video, it said, hey, we've got a training group. And it just so happened, like in all the videos on YouTube, this training group was about a half hour from my house. So I emailed them, and I got in touch and ended up doing a competition, and I competed for about 5 years.
Wow. That's, because I always wondered how people, everybody's seen it on ESPN or whatever, and it's like, but how do you find that? You reminded me of a gym. Like I've lived all over the world and find gyms wherever I go, and I'm on the road constantly. But before CrossFit, I had to find gyms, and I lived in Soho in New York City for some time, and I joined. It was before I had any money. I was just like a poor stand-up comic, literally making like $100 a night, traveling, and that was like I would take buses to go get that $100. And I was living in New York City, like collecting bottles to get lunch. And I joined, and this is like in Manhattan. So, Manhattan's super expensive, but there was like a community gym that was I think it was $7. You said $7. I think it was $7 for the year. Like
oh wow,
you bought this like Parks and Recreation pass, and then you belonged. And I went in the gym, and it was as close to a prison gym as you possibly like it looked. And I was just like, what am I doing here? Like I was in there, and some of the biggest, scariest men I've ever seen in my life. And there was a basketball court with like the lap around the basketball court hanging up above. And you're like, no, I'm not going to run around that. Someone's going to throw me off. Like that's 2 stories. I'll end up down here. So I'm just going to lift in the gym. And there was a pool, which was like, I wouldn't even, no way. Like that had like syphilis and gonorrhea, everything in it. So I went to the gym, and I would work out there, and I would have to like, you couldn't, like typical gym, like, hey, can I get a set, like how many more sets do you have? Hey, can I get a lift off? None of that. Like you just, no. I'm not asking for anything. And, no. I used to have a joke about how I said, if I went to prison, there's no way I could get raped. You see it in all these movies, and I'm like, it could never happen to me, because I would fight till the death. So one day I'm in the gym, and there's a guy who would bring his own boombox, and he would blast it while he worked out. And this gym's tiny. It was like not even 500 square feet, maybe 500 square feet. This guy would blast his boombox, and no one would say anything to him. That's how scary he was.
That's awesome.
Just like. I'm trying to compare the size of him. Nobody in CrossFit, like like, because he was tall too. He was tall and super muscular. And I'm on the bench doing, my 3 sets of 10 or whatever stupid thing I'm doing. And he just walks over to me with his boombox, puts his boombox down and looks at me and goes, "Move." And when I say I bounced, I went through the air off. I've never moved so quickly in my entire life. I moved off that bench. And while I was flying through the air, I was thinking, if I was in prison right now, that guy, I would be his bitch. Like
he would own you.
He would seriously, like, I would write him love letters. The way I jumped, I was so scared of him that I was like, I wouldn't last in prison like a second.
No, fight to the death. I don't think so.
No, like that fight to the death would last about a second. So scary. We always talked about, I'm trying to get the guy on here. We used to do jokes on this show about, we wanted to have CrossFit. We wanted to make our own team called CrossFit Convictus, where we get a whole bunch of prisoners and like turn them into CrossFitters. And there's a guy out there who I've written to him, and I don't know, maybe he didn't see it. A lot of times when you DM people, they don't see it. But hey, puppy, stop, quiet. He coaches CrossFit classes at a prison somewhere. And if anybody knows this guy, get a hold of him, tell him to contact me, because that's like
that'd be.
Can you imagine
so funny.
Like sending a team to the CrossFit Games? It'd be like, was that the longest yard?
Oh, it's so good. CrossFit Convictus. I love it.
And you just see these guys just show up and just smash everyone.
Oh, it'd be so good.
Rich Froning would have to be the bad guy. I don't know if you saw, did you see the leaderboards at all? Do you pay attention to that?
No.
Rich Froning, number 5 at the Open. Like the old man.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
No, look, I've known Rich for a long time. And he is obviously one of the fittest guys out there. And I think most people probably know that he's one of the nicest guys out there. And just I love the fact that he's so consistent time after time. The guy is just on point. So it just hearing you say that makes me happy. I'm glad to see him.
Yeah, just so strong. Well. How do you feel like where your level is right now? Like, you don't do any kind of CrossFit kind of works.
No, so it's an interesting thing because obviously the Open just ended, and a bunch of our members did it, and I signed up with the intention of doing it, and then as it got closer and closer to the day, I started not to have second thoughts. It's not cold feet, just like I just said, I don't want to compete anymore. I don't. It's a weird thing. I have nothing to prove. I never loved competition. That's not my. I know some people thrive in that world. It's not me.
When was your last year of competition?
2016. I did the Masters, and I came in 11th overall. My best year in the Open, or in the Open division, was in 2010. I came in 15th in the world. In 2009, I competed at the Ranch in Aromas, and I came in 22nd, I think.
That's so impressive. I mean,
I was having a conversation with Paul Tremblay at the games a couple of years ago, and I said, man, what these guys are doing now is just so insane. And he's like, well, but it was the same for you back in the day. Like, it's all relative, right? The things that you were doing was equally as impressive back then. And that made me feel good, because it was, you look at what they're doing now and you just think, well, that's the bar and that's where it's always been. And I guess that's not the case. He was quick to point that out. But for me, I don't love the competition. What I really enjoy on a daily basis is throwing down with my buddies. Let's high fives and let's sling some weights around. Let's collectively suffer and then rally up, and we'll do it again tomorrow. And so in that regard, I'm doing CrossFit the way it's always been done,
right.
Which is it's not complicated. It's definitely not sexy. It's not, complicated workouts. You look at it on the board. I often program similar to like a Pat Sherwood, where the workouts, they don't look like a whole lot, but it's all a trap, and I don't know if I intentionally try to do that, where you look at it on the board and you're like, that's it. And then, one by one, the members come walking in after class and they're just like, what the hell was that? And I'm like, then good. I did my job. So from a programmer standpoint and from, my own perspective, I'm not interested in the competition anymore. I'd rather let somebody else suffer that much and at that level.
I see where you're coming from. And, I was never a competitor in CrossFit, and, I avoided it at all costs, but I, went into the gym and still would look across the gym and see that soccer mom that I knew I could beat. And I'm like, you're going down, lady. You're going down. I want to stop the show to talk to you about getting stronger and doing it in a fun way. I'm going to talk about slatemilk.com. Slate Milk. Slate Milk. SLATEMILK.com. You're like, what's Slate Milk? It's chocolate milk. And you're like, I can't drink chocolate milk. I'm healthy. You can drink this one. Yeah, you can, because it's amazing. Slate was founded by 2 adult chocolate milk lovers. Yeah, they weren't lovers with each other. They loved chocolate milk. And they wanted it to be a little healthier. So what'd they do? They went to Kickstarter. From Kickstarter, they went to Shark Tank. From Shark Tank, they ended up in 3,000 stores. And they're available on their own website, slatemilk.com. Why'd you stop drinking chocolate milk? Oh, you're like, oh, too much sugar. Not this one, 75% less. You're like, oh, I'm lactose intolerant. Not this one, no lactose. All right? Do you have any excuses anymore? No. How about this one? This one is not an excuse. This is the reason you're going to do it. 17 grams of protein in a serving. 17 grams of protein. That's your protein shake. Boom. Just drink that right after you work out. Drink it all day long. Drink it in the morning. Have it for breakfast. It's great. They got 3 different flavors too. They have classic chocolate milk that tastes just like your favorite milk chocolate treats. They've got dark chocolate milk designed to resemble a 72% cacao bar. And they have espresso chocolate milk, which is that extra chocolatey mocha latte with, get this, 150 milligrams of caffeine. You're going to be all cranked up after that one. It's brewed with real Colombian coffee, too. So here's what you're going to do. You want the healthier chocolate milk designed to be chugged every day. Comes in aluminum cans, 100% recyclable. Use the discount code WodCAST15 when you go to slatemilk.com. That's SLATE milk.com. You're going to get 15% off when you put in WodCAST15. 15% off. WodCAST15 at slatemilk.com. But what I was getting to is I ran track and loved competition in track. I loved the anxiety. I loved the buildup. I loved that, it was going to be 13 seconds of running and that you warm up, you get ready, 13 seconds, it's all over. But it's kind of like getting a shot, you're like waiting for it, you get it, it's over. CrossFit's more of like, you're waiting for it, you're getting it, you're still getting it, you're still getting it, you're getting it. It's like, and so the anxiety level is just so much higher. And I can imagine at your level with so many eyes on you and, so much to gain, so much to lose, that the anxiety levels can just it's
a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot. And the what I always found was interesting, just for me, maybe it's like this, for everybody, but from my perspective, I found that the pressure that I would put on myself was magnified to 100 times in the open. And then at regionals, it was slightly less, under the gun, although the pressure is there, because if you foul up one workout, that's it, you get bumped out. But by the time you get to the games, a lot of that, the apprehension and the anxiety and all that shit is gone, because you're already there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you made it to
I see
to the
point.
show. And then So now all you got to go out there and do is perform for the judge. Like I just got to do the things that I've done. I've already qualified to get here. So the thing that I say to people from my experience is that I loved competing at the games. I hated getting there. and you know, I don't know if that makes any sense, because like I'd be right about to go out on the floor at the games, and you know, yeah, you're nervous because you want to do well, but there's no real pressure, because especially when I was in the Masters, it was only the top 20 guys. You're like, worst I can do is 20. I'm good. Like, you know, I get to go out here and throw down with a bunch of my buddies and guys that I've known for a long time. To me, that was the most fun. Was 2016 was just an unbelievable experience. Absolutely zero pressure. Just got to go out and have fun. The process of getting there sucks.
The only thing that I can analogize it to is, this is going to sound weird. I was talking to a writer friend the other day who writes a TV show here in LA, and I was telling him whenever I have to write something or do something, like put together a new show or something, I go, I procrastinate, I go crazy, I do this, I do that, because I want it to be perfect. I start, I hate it, I don't. And I think that could happen with the Open, because you're like, well, I did this workout, it's not good enough, I can do it again. Should I do it again? Is it good enough? What if this guy comes in with his did I train? Maybe if I practice this for a couple days and then do it. And so It's like a whole full week of anxiety trying to get this thing perfect. And that's what happens with me when I'm trying to like edit something or write something. I'm going, I feel like I could always do better. And so start over. Do I scrap this? How do I get this? Oh, it's terrible. It's shit. I got to stop. And that's just a really, really, really frustrating process. And it's like what I'm trying to work through right now. You know, my friend's like, vomit it all out. And then once you get it all out, you can start crafting it. And he's like, just vomit it out. Don't worry about like where to start or what anyone else is doing. But with CrossFit, you can't do that. You're like,
and that's what I was just going to say, is like, you know, that process, it doesn't apply to CrossFit, because you can't vomit out your workout and then be like, all right, how am I going to refine that? You know, like there's only a certain amount of times that you can go to the well for a certain workout over the course of a couple of days during the Open. And that, you know, I've done this, and I hate the fact that I've done it, and I don't like it when I'm doing it. I recognize it. That's one of the things that pushed me away from the Open this year. Was I've sat back and I've watched video of myself doing an entire workout, and I'm like, okay, if you rest 3 seconds less here, if you've got to get to this point in the workout by this time. If you don't, then there's no point in even going forward. Like, I've analyzed this stuff to the nth degree, like an NFL football coach. And I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in doing that. Somebody said to me on our group text thread, training thread, he said, yeah, you know, I did better than last time because it was the 17-3 workout. That was the repeat this year. So he's like, I did better than last time, but not as well as I had hoped. And I was like, look, that's one data point amongst thousands and thousands of other data points. I was like, we could test this workout again in a month, again in 3 months, and again in 6 months, and get different data points every single time. Like, this one workout isn't an indicator of whether or not you are more or less fit. It is one workout in a sea of thousands. Like, what I look at are my squat numbers up, my bench, my Fran time, my mile time, my 1K row. Collectively, how is my fitness level?
Sure.
Not just on this one workout, because those are two totally different things. And as a competitor, I think it's important at this stage of the game that you're analyzing your game tape and you're trying to figure out ways to find a rep here or a couple seconds there. And I'm not there anymore. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. It's almost not worth the effort, but it'd be nice to just be laid back. And if that's not your style, which, you know, I'm like that too. Like, I'd love to, and maybe I am when it comes to comedy. Like, I'm just like, I'm not gonna, my hour special that just came out, some guys like Rogan shoots 6, and edits it down. Like you wear the same outfit, you shoot 6 shows, and you make it look like 1. I usually do 2. I can't do 6. I can't watch myself 6 times and be like, I like this joke from here. I didn't like it in this version. I didn't like it it's good here. Oh, do this shot from. I just can't do it, because at that point, then I start to hate it, and I start to just get angry. And I wish I had that skill to be that meticulous. And when you say that, like, I imagine in sports, there are the guys. I guarantee in football there are guys that like don't even want to go, and watch film. Like, I just want to play the game, and they're probably awesome.
And that's the thing. Maybe they're so talented. Maybe they're like Rich, right? Where you're so talented that you don't have to go back and watch the game film. It's not required, because all you got to do is show up.
Yeah, I wonder about Rich sometimes, because like when you talk to him about his programming and stuff, sometimes it's just like, well, what do you do? Well, I go into the gym and I go, I'm going to do some bench today. I'm going to do some squats. I'm going to make this Metcon. And you're like, what's the mindset behind that? And he's like, I don't know. I'm just going to work.
Yeah. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, like I've been down there, I've been to his barn. And the last time I was there, we all did a workout together, and that is precisely how it happens. Everybody just kind of rallies up at the barn. The whole Mayhem team shows up. He grabs a pen and he starts writing some stuff on the board, and he's crossing stuff off. He's like, we'll do handstand walks instead of handstand push-ups and blah, blah, blah. And before you know it, they got their workout, and it's like, okay, 3, 2, 1, you guys ready? And it is not. And that's very similar to how I program for myself and for the gym. I don't program a week out. I don't program a month out. I program at night for what we're going to do tomorrow. I can't possibly guess how my body's going to feel in a week or in 4 days. So how can I possibly program that far in advance? So I just sit down, I spitball. What do I need to work on? What do I want to work on? What movements haven't we done? What time domain do we want to make this thing? And then I hodgepodge the workout together, and then release it at like 7:00 at night. We do the workout, and the same process repeats all week.
It's funny you say that, because I had someone on the show once, I'm not going to name names, and he's a coach, programmer, and he showed me his methodology on his like Excel spreadsheets. And I'm sitting there going, this is fucking crazy. This is like it was almost like he created an algorithm that would like build and I'm like, it's not this complicated. You've made it way more complicated than it is. And
at the end of the year, at the end of a given year, if you took that guy's lunacy and you put it up against my program or somebody like Rich's program, there's probably a handful of consistencies. We squat a lot. We do a lot of compound movements, and we breathe heavy pretty frequently. Like that's all this is. This is not rocket science.
That's what I've always said. Look, I don't want to do it, but I bet if I went in and did thrusters every other day and just got in there and did some light thrusters, some heavy thrusters, I'd be a pretty good CrossFitter.
Yep, you would. You'd be miserable, but you'd be a good CrossFitter.
Exactly. I mean, I think that movement right there, you do some CrossFits and some thrusters and some 400-meter runs together.
Yeah.
You'll be good. Like, I've told this 1,000 times on here. But I had a track coach once. I think he was a high school. Yeah, it was like maybe like junior high high school track coach. And, I ran the 400-meter dash, and I said to him, what's the theory? How do you coach the 400? Like, if I want to run the fastest 400, what do I do? And he's like, all right, well, the start, he goes, you want to come out of the blocks, and you want to get out of there and get like the whole shot, be ahead of everybody out of the blocks. And he goes, when you come out of the blocks, you got to be fast, and you got to take that turn really fast. So sprint that turn as fast as you can. He goes, now you've got your first open straightaway. He goes, you got a full straightaway. He goes, sprint that as fast as you can. He goes, now you got the back turn. He goes, you're going to want to sprint that turn as fast as you can. He goes, and when you come out of that turn, all you have is the straightaway to the finish line. He goes, so sprint that as fast as you can.
No, and that's not hard to follow.
And he was like, and I was like, but I hit a wall. And he was like, well, sure. Where'd you hit the wall this time? And it'd be like the beginning of the season. I'd be like, at the 300 mark. I came around the turn. I couldn't move. And he goes, okay, well, let's see how you do next week and then meet. And he was like, where'd you hit the wall? I'm like, about 310. He's like, you know what? Next week you're going to hit it at about 320. And he's like, our goal is to get you that you can run full sprint 420. And he goes, so you sprint through the finish line and you're like, oh, I had 20 more left in me. And he goes, you just build up that adaptation. And he goes, you're going to adapt and you're going to get better and better and better and better. And all of a sudden, and he's like, it's just hard work. It's just that. He's like, just give it your all. And I feel like if I just went in and did thrusters, I would be.
That's all it is. I talk about this at seminars, and I've been talking about this for years. It's just, strength and fitness really are just an accumulation of reps over a lifetime. Like that's all we're trying to do here. Right. So there's nothing that I can attribute whatever strength I have to anything except for the fact that I've been doing this for a while. Like that's it. That's all I've got going for me. I don't have any special genetics. I'm not overly tall. I'm not really big. This is all I've got. But what I've got is 30 plus years of doing deadlifts and squatting and benching and cleans and da. So one of the things that I played around with a while back was this concept of a cold bar bench press. And in my basement, I had a bench press set up. And the idea was I'm going to do a tiny little bit every single day and see what happens to your thruster point, right? Like I'm just going to do some thrusters and keep it simple. So I started with a weight that I thought was so easy that I could do it if I was drunk, right? So I put 225 on the bar.
I love how you start with 220.
So
I'm expecting you to say 100 pounds.
No. So I start with 225 and I put it on the bar and I'm like, every time I think about a bench press, I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing. I'm going to walk downstairs. I'm not going to warm up. I'm not going to prep. I'm just going to lay down. I'm going to do one rep and I'm going to rack it up and walk away. And at the end of the day, maybe I did 5 reps. At the end of the week, I've done 40 something reps. At the end of the month, I've done hundreds of reps, right? And I would bump the weight up every time it felt like, okay, I've made the adaptation and this is now so easy that it's not even a challenge. I would bump the weight up. 6 months after I started that, I was doing 425,
Jesus.
Stone cold, in my basement, in my pajamas. I would roll out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning in my pajamas, go downstairs, bench 425, and I could go right back to sleep and not even, like, it wasn't a blip on my radar. And at the end of a given week, I had done 25 reps at 425. And then the progression was linear. I mean, the jumps got smaller, but I just kept going up because the adaptation was so gradual and my body just got used to the demand. So to your point about the sprinting, it's like you get to a point where you can run 400 and you still have 20 meters left in you, right? That's all this was just a slow adaptation over time. So my thought with my own strength training and my own fitness is that I just need to keep doing this. It's like a tiny little increment every day, all day. So that guy who has, sticky notes like Rain Man all over his room trying to figure out his program, he can do that if he wants to. But from my perspective, like I'm not all that interested in any one workout because all it is a stepping stone to tomorrow. Like that's it. And if it's a tiny incremental increase in output, all I got to do is keep doing this day after day after day. And when I'm 50, I will be fitter and stronger than I am now at 45.
It's funny you say that. I think that takes away from some of the fun of CrossFit Games because Sean Sweeney said it once. I said something like, are you going to win the CrossFit Games this year? And he said, CrossFit is basically you look at where you are and where you're going to be. You kind of know where you're going to be because how your body is adapting and getting stronger each time. He goes, it's not this like crazy, like, look where I was, look where I've become. He's like, it's just these metrics are there that are showing you where you're going, like, how you're moving along, where you're going to be 6 months from now. So he's like, you pretty much know who's going to win the CrossFit Games, like where they are and what they're doing. As long as they don't get hurt, they will be able to pull this off. I mean, it's why no one could beat Frazier. It's like, you knew where he was. If you're going to be, you can kind of, like, everybody tries to judge everything, but you just can kind of look at the numbers and go, it's all, the writing's all there. And that adaptation, it's so fun. I love your story about going down into the basement and doing that. I had a pull-up bar on the wall, and I would just, every time I went by it, it was over one of my doorways, and I just put these bed knobs. So I would just like grab them and just 2 here, 4 here, 6 there, whenever, and just could do 1 million pull-ups because of it. And then I, moved into this house with my wife, and she won't let me have shit like that. So now I'm a weakling. But no, I think that's it goes back to, I was just listening to a book. I've got kids, and I want my kids to be good at sports, but I want them to love it. I don't want to be one of these parents that forces them into it. I want them to be successful at sports without being that, dick at the soccer game that's screaming. So I've been listening to books about like how to successfully parent an athlete. And I listened to like 3 different books, and they all said the same thing. Like, basically, statistics show you're not going to have a scholarship athlete. All these parents that think they're going to have it, you're not. And the worst thing you can do really is try to have one. It's you're going to overtrain them. You're going to hurt them. And what you can do is just find out if they like something. And if they like something, let them have full access to it. Like, you talk about Froning. That's just like a love of working out. And that's like why you guys are so good at it, that Rich just wants to go into his barn and work out and get his buddy and do this and do that and do more. And it's not this science of, well, if I calculate this and I do this, I'll be able to beat this. And it's just like, no, I'm going to, Khalipa told that story about having dinner at Rich's house, and in the middle of dinner, he couldn't find Rich, and he was out on the assault bike. Like,
it's so good.
I talked to Rich on this show once, and he said, he's like, I think I'm an addict. And if I didn't have this, it could be drugs and alcohol. Like, I love it. And it's just, it's the thing. And anyone that wakes up and goes down and just starts benching 425, that's why you can bench 425, because I don't want to do that.
I gotta tell you, like, it was a fun thing to try, just to see, like, does this theory hold water? Just a very slow, gradual increase in output, and there was no sign that it was going to let up. I kept getting better at it. I just got bored of doing it. So I stopped doing it, but it's morphed into, we have a cold bar deadlift at the gym, and the deadlift bar started at, with a big group of guys in the gym. It started with like 275 or something. So you'd walk in, you'd put your backpack down, you'd give it a pull, and then you'd walk away. And then the last thing you would do before you left is just put your backpack down, give it a pull, and walk out the door. And that cold bar deadlift. Now, remember, this is no warm up, nothing, right? And anytime it pops into your head, you have to go do it. Yeah. So, but you don't spend time thinking about it. But if it pops into your head, like, I'd be sitting there doing computer work, and I'd look across the room and see the bar. Like, all right, let me go stop what I'm doing. I'd walk over, I'd set up, I'd do one pull, walk back to my computer, and keep working it. And that cold bar got up to just a tick under 600 pounds.
Wow.
And so you walk in with your coffee in your hand at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you put your backpack down, you put your coffee down, and you pull 550, and then you pick up your coffee, throw your backpack over, and turn the heat on in the gym. And, at that point, there was only like 1 or 2 guys left in the game because it was just too heavy for most. So then we adjust the bar back down and kind of let everybody get back involved again. But the same thing. It's just an accumulation of reps over a lifetime. And it's not scientific. It's not charted. I'm not looking at percentages. I don't care about any of that stuff.
What you should have done was keep that bar there, and then put beside it less weight with the ladies bar.
That's great.
And just said, for the guys that couldn't keep up, we have this over.
Yeah. Sorry, boys.
And I love, there's going to be some woman that's going to write to me and say she's offended by blah, 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 blah. And I want to say, I don't give a shit. So I love when people get offended. Write to me, write a comment on iTunes. Say, oh, you got me. It's a joke. That is hilarious. That's one thing. That was the strongest thing I had was a deadlift. But when you were telling that story, my whole body was kind of like going like, ooh, like that would hurt just to walk in and just pull cold.
Stone cold.
Oh, but I guess,
I
guess your body would also adapt to it. Like knowing,
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Again, the adaptation is gradual and it takes a long time. And so your body just gets used to, okay, this is what we do. Like if you walked into the gym tomorrow and you stone cold, you could deadlift 135, right? Like you wouldn't even think twice. Okay, well then maybe that's your starting weight. And then maybe in week 2, it goes up to 185 because you're not getting anything out of 135 anymore. And then at a certain point, you're like, okay, this doesn't even faze me anymore. Now it's 225. And eventually, I think the greatest adaptation, and Glassman used to talk about this all the time, the greatest adaptation is actually between the ears, right? Because as you're doing this, you're gaining the physical reps that you're doing. But I think the best adaptation is happening in here.
Sure.
Where in all the times that I did the cold bar bench press and in all the times that I ever did cold bar deadlift, I've never missed a rep. I've never missed a rep. It's never been like, oh, I'm stuck under the bench in my pajamas and I can't get it off me. The confidence was always there because I did the rep before it and I did the rep before that. And you have this like gradual stepping stone getting to the point where you don't even think about the work anymore.
Right. The neuromuscular, whatever the brain adaptation to what you're talking about. I learned that years ago. I was in Gold's Gym and I was squatting or something like before I even did CrossFit, and a guy came over who was like a power lifter, Olympic lifter or something, and he said, you can do a lot more weight than that. And I was like, no, I'm having trouble with this. He's like, yeah, because your mind is not letting you do it. He's like, your muscle is there for it. He's like, but your nerves aren't. And your nerves are stopping your muscles from doing it. And I was like, why? He's like, because you don't have proper technique, and your nerves are going, no. We don't want this to happen because this isn't right, and you're going to injure yourself. So your nerves are stopping your muscles. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, that's how it works. And I totally didn't understand the concept at the time. But, it's your brain. And, once you learn the proper technique and everything, it's also your brain sitting there telling you. Like your conscious mind can say, yeah, I've got no problem with this. I've done this a million times. I know the proper form. And I know it's just a little bit more. And I can adapt. I think adaptation is everything in life.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you can understand adaptation, you can understand it with like tolerating your children, with when they're losing their mind, with like people say to me, like I'm at the point in stand-up comedy where people always ask the same questions, like how do you do you get nervous, and what about when someone gets starts yelling, and I'm like, I've done it so many times that there's an adaptation level that it's like it can't affect me at this point.
That's right.
And
that's right.
I've been off for like a year, and it was weird going back, but it's just like taking off lifting for a year. Sure, you're not going to be able to hit all your same strengths and everything, but after a little bit, you're like, I got this all. I have the original patterns.
Yeah, it's a muscle, right? And you gotta work the muscle. But you've taken a year off, you can hop back up on stage, and somebody starts throwing shade at you, you can figure out a way out of that, and not it doesn't hit you. I know when I've taught seminars, and I've taken a decent amount of time off of that. I know when I get up, I start talking too fast. I'm not as polished as, give it 2 or 3 seminars and I can kind of bounce back into that rhythm. But as I've gotten older, I just don't really give a shit about like impressing anyone anymore, and that's liberating.
It is.
So I can
It
get
really is, isn't it?
I can deliver the lines that I want to deliver, and I don't care at all. How that affects people.
Don't you wish the 20-year-old you had the you of now that not give a shit? Like if I had this when I was 20, if I had the not give a shit attitude that I have now, would I be successful?
Yeah, you'd be dangerous because you'd say a whole lot of dumb shit and you'd get yourself in trouble. But I also think that the confidence is, it just makes you so comfortable up in front of a group of people, and you can kind of spout off and not think twice about it. And I put my head on the pillow and I don't think twice about anything that I've done.
Because no matter who you are and how much knowledge you have, there's always going to be criticism.
For sure.
So it doesn't matter. You can be the smartest person in the entire world. That is like I watched Fauci get just crucified. Here's a guy who's like the head of, and half the world thinks he's a moron.
Yeah.
Like my hairstylist thinks he's dumb. Like here's this like board certified immunologist. There's a lot of people listening right now, so a lot of anti-maskers who are like, he's a moron, the guy doesn't understand anything. And it's like just proving my point that like you can be a very smart, knowledgeable, educated person and there's still going to be people out there. So it's like you might as well just not give a shit. You might as well just get up there and do what you do.
It's just, especially if you've got something good to say, like just get up there and deliver it. And the people that want to support you and the ones that kind of believe in what you're saying, they'll find you. And the rest will find a way to hate you.
Are you still doing a lot of seminars?
I mean, obviously this year was a disaster. Yeah. We had a couple of gigs lined up in the beginning of 2020 that we ended up pushing off. And, you kept thinking like, oh, we're going to go and do that in July. And then it didn't get any better. And then we'll wait until Christmas time. That didn't get any better. We finally had an event in Spain, in Madrid, Spain. I wasn't able to go, but I had coaches there that I've worked with a million times that ran it. And it went great. So I'm glad that we got that seminar out of the way. And now I'm just starting to kind of book things going into 2021. I've got one in December. In Florida that we're looking to do in June. So they're going to start to pop up, but it's, the restrictions on travel are still pretty weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to be like to get back. Am I going to have to quarantine when I get back into Connecticut? And so I just don't want to get stuck where I can't run my normal business, the one that pays me every day.
Right. I should have probably asked you this in the beginning, but how did CrossFit find you, or did you find them?
Interesting story. So if we go way back to my early days in, kind of strongman and posting stuff to YouTube, I was filming stuff I had a Mac desktop that I would just turn the camera on and film every workout that I ever did. And I was putting that stuff up on YouTube. And I did, CrossFit I'm trying to think of when the very first time they posted something of me. That's what it was. It was, I did a workout that was 250 pound thrusters and 500 pound deadlift. And it was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of each. So I filmed that and I emailed blindly because there was nobody really to email. I emailed media@crossfit.com and I said, hey, I'm kind of a CrossFit guy. I've got this cool video of something that I did. You guys want the video? And Tony Budding got back to me and he said, yeah, send that. So I sent it to him and they posted it up on CrossFit.com. And as far as I know, this is from Tony, as far as I know, I think I was the first person to send in content and have CrossFit put it up. So then, I developed a relationship with Tony and he said, hey, if you've got more footage like this, send it our way. We'd love to put it up. And I at the time I had thousands of these dopey workouts that I was doing. So I started sending Tony stuff, and they were putting my videos on CrossFit.com. Months later, I got a phone call from somebody at HQ, and they said, "Hey, we just realized that we've been putting up like all of your content lately, and you're not even an affiliate. Like you're not part of CrossFit." I said, "Nope." And they said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Well, I don't want you guys telling me how to run my business." And they said, "Well, we won't tell you how to run your business." We have a long back and forth conversation. Needless to say, like I became an affiliate right after that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my kind of step into CrossFit. And then I took my level 1 course with Greg Glassman. Nicole Carroll was there, Spieler, Todd Widman. It was like an all-star cast. And at the level 1, the whole thing just resonated with me. It was just like, these are my people, and this is what I belong doing. And so the gym was open. We were kind of running classes, but we were doing some personal training. And one of the women that was working out there, she said, "Hey, CrossFit's got this open competition in Albany. It was the regionals in 2009. She's like, you should go." And I had just learned muscle ups. Like I taught myself muscle ups, and I was like, yeah, I guess. I mean, sure, why not? And I ended up qualifying 5th, and they took the top 5, and I ended up competing at the games that year. And I've just been in it since. So if you look back, it started with just sending some, heavier workouts and videos and stuff to CrossFit.
That's hilarious. Do you remember the guy? There's a guy in a lot of the CrossFit videos in the beginning that was in a parking lot. He'd wear just board shorts and low top Chuck Taylors. And he did a lot of like dumbbell workouts. And I don't know who it was. If anyone out there knows, let me know. Message me on Instagram or something. But
I'm trying to think. There were a couple of guys that were like workout anywhere guys.
No, I think I think this was at CrossFit Santa Cruz, like at the Glassman place. Maybe. Because you never saw like the gym in the background with the pull-up bar. He was always in the parking lot, and he was really fit. And usually those guys that started with it, like 99% of them are still in it. Like they're still around. Yeah. No one really ever left. And so I'm wondering who this was or where he is, because I don't know who it was. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, I fell into CrossFit and kind of, I was doing exclusively strongman in 2005, 6, and 7, but it was I saw the video of Nasty Girls.
Yeah.
It was Annie and Nicole and Eva. And I remember vividly sitting in my in-laws, everybody was sitting around watching TV. I was on the computer, and I'm eating like a tub of ice cream. I was an enormous fat load. And I saw these women that were just moving at warp speed. They're moving so fast doing air squats. And I was thinking to myself, why are they moving so fast? Like, slow down. And that was kind of like my introduction to it. And I started paying attention to the website every day. And I would cherry pick the workouts that favored me. So something that was heavier and shorter. But it wasn't until I went and heard Greg speak that it just said, I love the strongman movements, and I love the programming concept of 21-15-9 with CrossFit. And there's got to be a way to marry those two together. I looked at, you listen to Greg give his level 1 speech, and it's large load, long distance, quickly. And I thought, well, that dovetails perfectly with strongman, perfectly. I can't think of a better marriage. So at my level 1, I talked to Greg at lunch, and I said, I'm from the strongman world, but I love what you're talking about with, large load, long distance, quickly. How do we blend CrossFit and strongman together? And his answer was great. He goes, "I have no fucking idea." But he says, "If you figure it out, let me know." And that became my charter. And I thought, like, let me figure out how to blur these two worlds together. And that was kind of the birth of, merging strongman and infusing CrossFit programming with strongman movements.
I think that says something about Greg Glassman's success too, of why he was successful. The fact that he delegated that to you, that he just went, I don't know, like if you find the answer, we'll do it. Like, why not? Instead of some egomaniac going, oh, we figured it all out and we did and answering the question that they don't really know. He assigned it to you and was like, when you figure this out, we're going to do it. And you're like, okay, let's figure it out. How do you look? You've been doing this a long time, and the older I get, the less heavy I get. Like the more I get into more endurance or more into, Metcons, the less weight. How are you doing this without getting hurt all the time?
I think my program it's like a strength biased CrossFit program. So like I breathe heavy every day. I do a fair amount of what most people would consider moderate to heavy style Metcons, but I also like to go long and heavy. So yesterday, perfect example. We did a workout that was 1 Atlas stone to the shoulder and then 15 push-ups, and then 2 stones, and then 60 double unders, and then 3 stones and 15 strict presses with dumbbells for 4 rounds. So it's a total of 24 reps with the stone. It's 60 handstand. It was 60 handstands or strict press. I always choose strict press because I'd rather work like a bodybuilder. And then 60 push-ups and 240 dubs. So like the volume is there, but I did the entire thing with a 244-pound stone. So I'm still getting the strength, but I'm also still breathing heavy. And I think that my body, like having done this for so long, that's what my body wants. Like I don't necessarily want to be breathing heavy from rowing. Mm-hmm. I want to be breathing heavy because I'm doing really heavy clean and jerks and a bunch of other stuff, if that makes any sense.
It does. And I get confused on that. I don't have a cert or know anything about physiology, but the breathing heavy from lifting weights to me is so much worse than breathing heavy from doing double unders or C2 or anything like that. I mean, maybe running is a little different. Running starts to or maybe the assault bike a little bit, but like when you're the heavy breathing that comes on from lifting heavy weight. I mean, it's like when somebody tried to tell me that lifting weights isn't cardio.
You're
out of your mind.
They're just not doing it right.
You're out of your mind. It's brutal, and I would like to see if there. It seems like there should be a better metric of that because it can't just be heart rate, because my heart rate could be the same from doing thrusters that it could be from doing double unders, but for some reason there's way more going on. There's way 100%. More going on in the body on the thrusters.
Not anyone. It just takes a certain amount of discipline and kind of fortitude to grind through a workout that there's no easy way out, where you're going to be breathing heavy and that you're going to be asked to do something that it's going to be physically challenging at a heavy weight under intensity. Like to me, that's the sweet spot for my perfect workout. But at the same time, we do a decent amount of single modality work. We do plenty of running, rowing all by itself. I'm not afraid to program that stuff, but if given the opportunity to focus entirely on a conditioning day, like, all right, I'm going to row a 5K or row a 10K versus let's say a 5K. So a 5K, we'll say that we're going to row it in 20 minutes. Okay. I would much rather do the workout that I did yesterday because I will have breathed just as heavy, but I will also have done 24 reps with the stone. I've done 60 strict presses, 240 double unders. I've done a lot more than just that.
So you're getting muscular adaptation also.
That's right. Yeah. So it's not just about the lungs. It's about like, I'm still I'm doing the strength portion too, because there's no finish line in the strength game, right? Nobody ever woke up and said, okay, I'm strong enough.
Right. That's why I love CrossFit. I don't have a lot of time in the day. So I want to do a strength workout. I also want a cardio workout at the same time. I don't have time to do both. And if I do have time to do both, it's easier. So I will do both. I'll go for a nice little run or a hike or a bike ride or something. And I'll also do, a strength workout that's not where I'm taking lots of time in between. That's easy. But that also requires 2 full hours of my day. Whereas a CrossFit workout's going to take 20 minutes and it's going to be painful.
Yeah. And it's going to, and I always tell everybody that if you're not questioning your life choices like once or twice a week because of your workout, then you're not doing it right. Like you have, it should at least once a week should put you on your back where you're like, why do I do this? Like, why don't I have a different hobby? Just anything else.
What's her name? Ruth. What was her name? She was the girl from New Zealand.
I know what you're talking about.
Really good. Back in the day, she went blind at one of the CrossFit Games from a workout. Went blind.
Yeah. No, I need to pick a different hobby. Like, and that crosses my mind at least once a week. I'll finish the workout, and as I'm cleaning it up, I'm just like, I hate this. but that's okay, because I'll show up tomorrow and I'll do it all over.
And then I'll sit and talk to my wife about it, and she'll be like, I don't care. And I'm like, do you know what I just did? And she's like, yeah, it serves no purpose in life other than for you. And I'm like, I just want you to be impressed by the fact that she's like, it's weird. It's weird that you just did that. And I'm like, she's like, why did you put yourself in that state? And I'm like, I don't know. I one time did Murph on a fast and got Bell's palsy. My face froze up and like half my face paralyzed. And just like, she just looked at me like, why did you paralyze your face?
Well, if you're asking why, you wouldn't understand. It's in there somewhere. And I think some of it is that I love the struggle. I like the path of most resistance. To me, that's like, I don't shy away from that at all. There was a workout that I did with my son actually on Father's Day last year. It was 20 down to 1 by ones of calories. Of burpees, 20 down to 1 burpees with a 500-meter ski erg in between every round.
Oh.
And it ends up being a 10K on the ski erg and 220 something burpees. And so I did it with my son.
How old is he?
And my son just turned 15.
Oh, jeez.
And we were about 35 minutes in, and he's green. Like he just looks terrible, but he's still slogging through because he's like, I'm here with my old man. Yeah. Like it was just me and him in the gym. It was like a Sunday, place was empty. And I looked at him while I was on the skier. I was like, dude, you don't have to keep going. You can chill. So he slows down and he's kind of doing his own thing. And I could have laid up, but it's like, no, I'm going to grind and I'm going to finish this thing. And I think it's hugely important for him to see me struggle. Like I don't like, obviously it was a ton of volume. He didn't need to do all that crap, but I really thought it was important that he see me do it.
Yeah, that is really, really important. I don't know how many parents are out there, but I did a 68-mile run over the Backbone Mountain a few years ago. With a couple of guys, with Hunter McIntyre and Tommy Hackenbrook, and I did it, and people kept saying like, how did you keep going? I was like, because I knew my kids would know I did it, and I did it for them so that they know you can't quit. You know, if they see me, if I'm a good role model, that I just don't give up and I don't quit, then that'll just always stick in their heads. So anytime I thought about quitting, I was like, I can't quit. Like I'm a bad parent if I quit.
Yep.
And it's a good way to be. It was funny. We got to like the 30-mile mark or something, and I was hurting pretty bad. and Hunter said to me, "Hey, I just got a call. Your wife has your daughter and her kids from school at like the 45-mile mark, and they have like so much time that they can be there. They're going to be there at this time. We got to run. We got to pick up the pace so that they can meet." And I was just like, fuck. And I was like, I can't believe I have to do this. And, you know, it was probably the fastest I ran of the whole thing, was because there's little kids relying on you that are like, I can't imagine if they showed up and they're like, yeah, he didn't make it.
He didn't make the cut. Sorry.
Yeah. So, so that is a good motivating factor. I mean, that's right now, this point in my life, that's my motivating factor for fitness, is stay fit for the kids. So like they don't beat the shit out of me, and, so I'm around to play with them. But yeah, I don't think you really answered the question. How are you not sore and in pain all the time?
Yeah. So I am sore. I hurt, not hurt. That's not the right word. I'm sore. But I think my program, again, the way I program at night for what we're going to do tomorrow, I truly follow a program that it's loaded with variety to the point where, you know, there's enough in it. There's enough kind of built-in active recovery days. There are days we usually come out of the gate pretty hot on Monday and Tuesday. Like if I look at my week, Sunday is always a day off. Never work out on Sunday. Very rarely, I should say. And then we usually come in pretty hot Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday can kind of go up or down in terms of intensity and what we're doing. And that just depends on whether I feel like kicking people in the chops, or if I feel like we need to take a rest day. And that rest day is not a rest day. It's an active recovery day. So it's built in lower intensity, something that's going to give people time to take a breath. Thursday, we come back and it all feeds off of the workout before. So at the end of a given week, you know, you kind of look back and you see this natural ebb and flow in what we were doing. And then you've got this, on Sunday, you're going to take a day off. And that's the reset button so that we could do it again. And, you know, that's how I've gotten by doing what I do for as long as I have. It's truly following the CrossFit model of constant variety executed at high intensity. It's not about doing more. It's about doing better. And it's not about always going heavy. It's about following some kind of constant variety. So it's not, I don't know how else to put it. It's just a program that, it allows me to continue to do what I do every day.
Do you sell that program? Like, do you sell your programming, or do they have to go to like one of your gyms?
No, we do. We have an online following, and it's only $10 a month.
Oh, wow.
So people get our program. They get two programs actually for one. So we do the daily CrossFit workout from Hybrid, and then they get a Strongman WOD as well. So they get two different workouts, and then they get put onto a group training, my own personal group training thread. We've got about 60 people that everybody just chats about. It's like the old CrossFit.com comment section.
So for your CrossFit workout, does that require Strongman equipment, or is that just
sometimes?
Okay.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, but again, it's there are people on there that don't have everything,
right?
And that's why the thread is great, because it's like, hey, this is what I usually sub in when this comes up. And that's I wanted, when I actually set out and started this thing about 2 years ago, it was built with the idea that I love the comment section from CrossFit.com.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
It was amazing. For anybody that was around back then and was following before Facebook was a thing, it was awesome. That's where the workout would get posted and everybody would just start chatting with their scores and their subs. And I built our little thread is based on that.
I just went on, I did a workout the other day that was like a fight gone bad that CrossFit headquarters posted that was like, I think you start with burpees for a minute, then you go to a minute of snatches with 75 pounds, then a minute of box jumps, then a minute of thrusters, then a minute of chest to bar pull-ups, then a minute break. 3 rounds. And I went through it pretty well, like pretty consistent, pretty well. And it said, I went to see and they don't have a comment section anymore. But it referred back to when it was programmed a long time ago, and there was a comment section. And I started reading through it again. I was like, this is why I hated this. Because, like, I'm looking at these times, I'm like, how the fuck did this guy get 280 reps? Like, how? Who does this? Like, where is this person? And you forget that there are those Rich Fronings out there that exist. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm average. I got to remember that I'm just an average guy, and that there are these like freaks out there. And because, I was used to going to my gym, and someone would beat me at my gym by 10, 20 reps or whatever it was, the good guys in the gym, not 100 reps. Like, who is this person?
Well, and what drugs are they taking?
Yeah.
Like, where did these people come from? But you like, I thought that the comment section used to be a ton of fun because, the workout would get posted up, and then immediately the people who were the heavy hitters back in the day, so Spiel would chime in, and like these guys would just jump in with like, hey, here's how I would break this thing down. And like, I thought, I want that. And I want to recreate that so that the people who are following along with Strongman WOD and hybrid WODs, they get a thread of people from around the world that are doing it the
like-minded
way it was a decade ago. Yeah.
What how do they get this? How do people find this to get in on your programming?
Yeah, so it's simple. It's Hybrid Athletics. That's our website, hybridathletics.com/store, STORE. So hybridathletics.com/store. And if you scroll down, you'll see old school programming. It's $10 a month. You create a subscription, and then I'll follow up with you to get you added to the thread. It's a super simple process. And then you get thrown in the mix with a bunch of people from around the world that are doing what we do.
Well, that's awesome. There's a lot of great programming out there, and this sounds like something like just what a lot of people need. So that's awesome. And then you have your store for your products there too at Hybrid Athletics.
Same thing. hybridathletics.com/store, and you'll see the barbell brushes. We've got steel and nylon bristles, depending on what kind of barbell you've got. And then we also have the Atlas stone molds that are up there. So that, that's all of our stuff is up there at hybridathletics.com/store. That's currently what we're offering.
I keep thinking I need to make a stone, but I keep thinking I'm that guy that will drop it on my foot. I know I will.
Listen, in as long as I've been doing this, it's a long time, I've never seen anybody drop a stone on the foot.
That's why I know I'll be that guy. And I'll be the guy that
first one.
They'll be like, the only person that has ever dropped it on his foot. And I don't want to be the guy that everyone talks about.
Well, we got to get you some stones, because lifting stones is in the pantheon of exercises and movements and stuff that I do. And I think within my gym and my circle, Atlas stones, it's a favorite of everybody, like universally. People just enjoy it. And I think it's one of those exercises that you get a huge return on investment.
Yeah, it's funny. I like the sandbag stuff, and I use a lot of different sandbags because it's fun when someone else is working out with me. It's like, hey, let's beat the shit out of each other. It's not fun when it's like a calibration, when it's like, I feel like, am I getting stronger? Is this work? Or was I, when there's someone there, it's like, let's challenge each other. Let's see who can do this. And I feel like that's kind of stones too. Like Hunter uses them all the time, Hunter McIntyre. And when I go over to his place, and I'll tell a story now that I can tell. He left it out in his driveway one day. And I had my wife's car, and my wife likes her car. I love my truck, but I don't care about it. Like, I don't, fuck it. I'm driving her car. She's like 8 months pregnant, so she's starting to get really bitchy, and rightfully so. Mm-hmm. And I'm leaving Hunter, and we're like screaming at each other or something, and I drive right over the Atlas stone. And it just like takes off the whole front of the bumper. And Hunter goes, oh my God. And the first thing he does, he pulls out his camera and starts filming. I go, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He goes, "Blackmail." He goes, if you don't make me the godfather of your son, your wife is going to find out about this." And I'm like, "What? Why are you?" I think he had filmed me like driving out of the drive, because maybe I was doing donuts. I don't know what I was doing, but I hit a stone and went up over it. Anyways, long story short, I made him swear to secrecy, but that fucker would always be like, "All I have to do is press send." I press send and she'll find out.
That's great.
Because my wife came out one day and she goes, "Did you see the front of my car?" And I'm like, "No, what?" She's like, "It's like the whole bottom of the bumper is like ripped off." And I'm like, "How do you think that happened?" And she's like, "Must have been one of the valet drivers." I'm like, "Yeah, you got to be careful with those guys." And I planned on telling her, but I just was like, I'm going to wait till after the baby's born, just because I just don't want the fight right now in the argument.
Yep.
And then we just sold the car and got a new car. And so now I don't mind telling her. But the fact that he blackmailed
get that video.
me.
You got to get that video.
That's true. You know what? I'm going to text him right after the show and get it. I'll send it to you. It's really funny. But the look on Hunter's face when he was like, "Oh my God." But that
must have made the best sound.
But I'm also a little scared of Atlas stones now.
Well, we got to get you lifting some Atlas stones. Like I said, from an ROI standpoint, there's you get that violent extension plus the deadlift, and just it turns you into a gorilla.
What would you say to start off with? What weight?
It all depends. I mean, everybody's kind of all over the place. For most men, especially ones that know how to deadlift and know how to move their bodies, probably a safe, comfortable warm-up weight would be like a 115.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it just depends on how strong you are and how comfortable you are rolling it up your body.
Yeah.
But I would say if you're and people ask this question all the time, like, "Hey, I've got a 225 clean and I can deadlift 315. What Atlas stone should I get?" I'm like, I have no fucking idea, because those two things have nothing to do with the clean or with the stone, So it really depends on person to person. But most of our guys in the gym, for a workout like we did yesterday, where the overall volume is 20 to 30 reps, they would use a stone somewhere between 145 and 175.
Wow.
And when you get north of, like, the next stone up would be 215. And then from 215, you kind of start to thin the herd a little bit.
Oh, geez. Well, I should get one and see what kind of damage I can do here. I know I could break something.
Yeah, I think for sure. And we should figure out a time, and once you get it and once you pour it, I can help you get it off the ground the first couple of times. Once you figure it out, I think you'll like it.
Well, I've loved having you on the show. This has been an honor to have you after all the years of watching you. I appreciate it. And people, you can go to his Instagram. He's not going to be communicating with you, but he's from the old school like me. I write back to people, even though I just I'm losing my mind. But your Instagram, you've got a couple. What are they?
I've got a couple. Yeah. So the one, my personal one is CrossFit Rabo. And then the business one is Hybrid Athletics. And then the one where people see the daily workout that we have, again, that's that closed loop. It's just for the people who are following along remotely, or for our gym members, is Hybrid WODs. And then the website is hybridathletics.com/store. And that's where all that stuff is available. But if anybody reaches out to me through Instagram, if they've got a specific question, or, I'm more than happy to respond back on there.
That's awesome. Thanks for being so open like that. And when I get back on tour and I come out your way, I'll definitely hit you up to come out to a show. And
yeah, I would love to. I appreciate you bringing me on and giving me a platform where we could have a chat.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks for doing it. Oh, there, Saved by the Bell. Wife probably heard me talking about wrecking her car. Thanks for doing it, dude. And thanks for listening. You know what to do. Rate, review, comment, and check us out on YouTube, because everybody's listening. Nobody's watching. Watch us on YouTube. And get my album as it comes out this week. It's called Sweet Home Alabama. It's available on YouTube, Amazon, what else? Spotify, you name it. It's all there. iTunes. Go to iTunes. Buy it on iTunes. So I go to number 1. But once again, thank you, Rob Orlando, and thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much, Eddie.